Hi there, I am Lampros Pappas, a member of the OpenConf 2023 technical committee. And today I have with me Yannis and Christos, who are going to interview Selena and Michael for their upcoming speech in OpenConf 2023. Christo, Yanni, who wants to start?
Yeah. Hey everybody, nice having you here. Can't wait for your talk in OpenConf. So, beginning with Selena, transitioning from a management background to a self-taught coder is quite impressive. I'd like to ask, what prompted that change, and how has it influenced your perspective of coding and teaching?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So my background is in hospitality management. I did that for quite a while, some rigorous hours, and it got at some point quite full on, quite intense. Got a bit burnt out, and I sort of decided I wanted to change and do something else, and I wasn't too sure what the options were. But one of my good regulars actually at one of the places I was managing introduced me to the concept of coding, and that was the first time I'd heard of it, probably mid-20. I said, is that a job? Do people do that? Is that a real thing? So he introduced me to these concepts and started sending me through little problems like binary hex conversions and traversing binary trees, and one thing led to another, and we started writing this dice game in Assembly 68K and chat servers in C, and then we moved on to some Ruby and never looked back. I decided that's what I want to do. This is so much fun. I can't believe it's a job. I still can't believe it's a job. It's too much fun. So yeah, that's where it kind of all started. How has it influenced my perspective on coding and teaching? Well, I think now in 2023, we see a lot more people who have transitioned into coding later in life, or done boot camps, or changed from a different career background. And with my experience working with really have been just coders, just on the tools for their whole life, but also experienced coming from a non-technical background. I think that's where it gives me a real edge and perspective to help those people to navigate through their career changes and understand some of those dynamics.
Nice.
Okay, so hello from my side as well. Nice to have you there. So, Michael, can you share a memorable experience from your early days of pairing with newcomers in software development, features and stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, especially coding with newcomers, people kind of find it really hard to understand the concepts. There's a lot of things going on, and by not pairing, they might spend hours, days trying to figure something out. Whereas all of a sudden, you're given this opportunity where both of us on the same computer, I actually let them code. Suddenly, they get these aha moments, and within 20 minutes, we can achieve what may take them 2 days of not being able to achieve, only because I'm there just to kind of guide them to answer questions. So that's the beauty of pairing with newcomers and actually having that guiding. And all of a sudden, you've got that those aha moments that they pick up, which is just amazing for me, helping them.
Excellent. I think that also Yannis have a rubber duck, actually a clay duck.
Yeah, that's a clay duck. I always have it with me looking at my code, and it really helps sometimes, just be there. These aha moments I have with my clay duck are really useful. I can feel it.
And I have a follow-up question regarding, more like the presentation specifics part. So your presentation promises a blend of conversation overview with live action in pair programming, let's say, sessions. How did you come up with this innovative approach for your talk?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So Michael and I started working together about 6 years ago in a company that was 100% pair programming. And we spent a lot of time working together in a pair. through work, and we had just great times in the office. It was a small company, so there's not so many rules, and you can have a lot of fun while you're coding. There's lots of jokes going on. It's a real good time, and we got along so well that we started doing things outside of work, like hackathons and going to the local meetups. And at some stage, we decided we wanted to get into the scene and start doing talks. And we'd been talking to a lot of people who didn't like pair programming or didn't understand why it was any good, or were really like anti the idea of pair programming because, I can write code by myself. I don't need to pair program, or, things like that. And one thing led to another, and we said, well, we both want to do talks. Why don't we talk about pair programming? That's what we do all day, every day. And it makes sense to have two people give a talk about pair programming. And if we're gonna do it, let's have some fun with it. Let's have some, kind of skits and interactions. Michael likes to be the center of attention, so it's perfect for him. And this is our opportunity to get, some points across about why pair programming is so great and why we love it.
Perfect. Next question is, without giving too much away, could you hint at one do and one don't that the audience might hear about during your presentation?
Oh, can I say this one?
Yeah.
Do not clip your toenails at the pair programming desk.
Interesting.
But maybe for one thing that you should do is, I think you just need to make sure you talk out loud what you're doing. So I think it's a very important thing to always be very verbal, which is draining, but it would be very verbal of what you're thinking, why you're typing, or what you're kind of thinking at that moment, to share that with the other person.
Pretty interesting. Thanks. Moving on to some personal experiences, I'd like to ask, what has been the most challenging experience you've ever faced while pair programming? How did you navigate it?
I think the most challenging situations come up when there are like personality clashes or some miscommunication or misunderstanding about what it is that we're trying to do and how we're going to go about getting there. And sometimes it can be hard to even figure out that that's what's going on. But the way to navigate it is really to step away from the problem, put the tools down, and start talking and have a long, good conversation and get both on the same page, whether it's drawing a picture or writing out some notes or going to the whiteboard. You really can't start until you're both clear on what are we trying to get out of this, where are we trying to go, and what's our general approach.
I'm covered. An interesting topic would also be like how this is happening when you don't have a whiteboard, like in this remote era. But yeah, let's leave it for a later discussion. Like, let's keep some topics for the actual talk. Yeah, Christos.
So, okay, I will change a bit the topic. So let's discuss a bit about the actual art of pairing and pair programming. So how would you address critics who feel that pair programming is not productive or can be a waste of resources? I think that Michael, a bit spoiled this kind of question in his previous answer, but okay, I would like to discuss this a bit more.
Well, that's a good one. I would say to those critics, go back and redefine what do you consider to be productive. Because, for example, where I work at Fresho, we pair program 100% of the time and we work on trunk, which means we don't have any pull request process. We save a lot of resources. I wouldn't call people resources, but we save a lot of effort and time through not having these PR processes. We don't have to deal with merge conflicts. We've got two sets of eyes on every piece of code 100% of the time. If somebody is away sick, anyone else can jump in there and just continue the work. We're not bottlenecked by anyone. We have this great knowledge sharing that goes around the team, and it's really clear anytime somebody comes into it, because we've got these shared practices, that everyone does it the same way and everyone expects to do things the same way. So it's not like a huge learning curve every time you come onto a new feature. So I would say go back and redefine what do you consider productive, and look at how much time is being potentially wasted through people soloing, because we know that when people solo for long periods of time, especially in this remote world as well, they go off on tangents for days at a time. They're too scared to ask questions because they might be, judged or it might be taken the wrong way. And having a peer with you helps keep you accountable. So bringing you back on track, bringing you out of the rabbit hole, and actually delivering something probably better than people would do on their own.
And I mean, just to add to that, I think I've had a good and bad experience. I mean, I've left Fresho now, so I'm no longer in a place that's 100% program, 100% pairing. But what that's made me realize is how much of a time saver that was, right? I'm now in places that want pull requests, want reviews, and they go, oh yeah, this is what everyone's doing. But when I write some code and I create a pull request, what am I doing? And then who am I interrupting? I'm interrupting 3 developers who are trying to do their work. And all of a sudden they've got to switch context and they've got to come back to my code. I probably want to start either reviewing somebody else's code, so I'm switching context. And all that switching context, you're trying to change it around to say, hands on the keyboard is the most valuable thing. I think creating the right product is the most valuable thing. And that is not time on the keyboard. That is not creating pull requests that are reviewed in isolation. That is actually collaborating with other people to keep you on track.
Interesting perspective, because you both touched the productivity part, which is a big, much hype around this topic and the productivity metrics these days. So interesting approach. And Michael also spoiled again my next question. So are there situations where pair programming might not be, the best approach? And if yes, can you provide a specific example that, you face this kind of situation?
Well, I mean, I'll be controversial here. I think that's the end goal. The end goal is not to pair program. The end goal is to solo. But how do you do that? You do that because you know how to write tests the same way, you know how to write code the same way, you know the issues that are going to be in production, you know all the parts of the code and how they interwork together, you know the product vision, how the product works, at which stage, if you're in most product-based or technology-based companies I've been in, no one knows all of that, or no one is in sync on all of those things. And hence you do need to reach out to somebody and make sure that your understanding and their understanding and the collective team understanding of the product, the way we write code, the new method that may have been written last week is brought into that code base. So unless if you had a team that worked together on the same product for maybe 4 years and everyone's like, yeah, we do everything the same way, maybe they would just pair program because it's more fun. But really, I think that the issue here is, yes, that's where we want to get to, but I don't think we can until all those other things are sorted. And I don't think they ever will be in most product roles.
But realistically, we don't want to be soloing 100% of the time. He's full of it. Come on.
Yeah.
But in my experience, pair programming is great. It really helps to accelerate and fast track our skills, particularly when we're junior or we're learning things or we're trying to adapt to a new environment or we're trying to take on a new project. But there is actually a really key valuable point in time where it is important for people to solo, and that's to build confidence and to move up to the next kind of level. Because juniors come in, they pair with senior people, that's great. You've got someone there kind of, guiding you and holding your hand a little bit and pulling you back on track. But somewhere along the line, you need to be able to prove to yourself on, some smaller things. Or obviously another option would be to pair with more junior people, but there's not always that chance, that opportunity, right? So soloing can be a good one for that.
Thank you very much.
Taking the discussion beyond the code, I'd like to ask Michael, watching your kids, like we saw your profile in Sessionize, we know that you're a parent of 4 at the moment. So watching your kids excel must be a rewarding experience. Are there any lessons from parenting that you've applied to your professional life, particularly in mentoring?
You say 4 kids at the moment. I think 4 kids is plenty. I think I'll stop there. But look, I think the idea of of having kids and nurturing in them, what you feel valuable within your family, within your approach to things, and actually seeing them take those things and be better than you are, being a better human, being better at sport, being better at school, music, whatever they're doing, just shows you the power of teamwork. So I think that the key thing I've always taken away from that, and it happened almost literally when I had my first child, that I was like, oh, my role in the team is not to be the one driving at the front and going, look at me code. It's actually nurturing everyone around me and watching them grow and them excel. And that's my wins. And I think as a parent, it's just an example you have every day at home. And when you bring that to the workplace, that's super powerful, especially with something like pair programming, where you have to let go of your ego. It's not about you, it's about the team. So that's a super kind of strong thing you can take away from family into your workplace.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. So Selena, next question is, being a professional kickboxer is fascinating. I'd like to ask you, how do you balance such an intense sport with your software engineering role, and if you find any parallels between the two?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I started learning to code, I also started kickboxing at the same time. So these are two things that have kind of just always gone hand in hand. In terms of balancing them, it's interesting because learning to code can be a really steep learning curve, like really intense days. And then also preparation for fights and training can be really intense at the same time. But in terms of balance, what I've been able to do is during the day, 9 till 5, really be present in the coding and the work that I'm doing. And then as soon as it becomes 5 o'clock, I go to the gym and I can completely switch off, at which stage I'm using, a different side of my brain and working on a completely different kind of activity. And it makes me feel really well rested for the next day. And I can be, again, present in the moment at the gym and really just intently focused on one thing at a time. And if ever I've had an injury and I've had to take time off from the gym, I really notice it because I can't get the problem out of my head for the rest of the day, and I can't sleep at night. I really need to have something else going on to just switch off and let things go for a little while. In terms of like similarities, there are some similarities in that doing both of them, doing it well, takes discipline and practice. And there are kind of patterns as well. So, with coding, you've got all these, you've got general concepts that you need to learn, and you can kind of break the rules on them. With kickboxing, you've got this, you've got the set of, I do Muay Thai, so you've got the set of 8 weapons, and you can put them together in different combinations or kind of methods. And then through practice and repetition, you get good at it and you know when to start using it. So that's where I kind of see the similarity.
Very nice. Thanks.
Okay, well, closing this interesting interview, do you have any key message or takeaway you want attendees to remember from your talk? And also maybe a message to them to participate in the conference as well.
Yeah, look, I think one of the things to take away from our talk is it will give language and understanding of maybe in the past when pairing hasn't gone right for you, and it will give you some tools on how to get started and how to address certain issues.
And the other thing to take away is, do you know what? Just give it a try. Even if you've done it before and it didn't quite work out, just try it again. Just give it a try. What's there to lose? And for the audience who are coming, get ready to laugh or cry. I don't know. Come along with a smile, come along with an open mind, just like you have to for pair programming. And maybe watch out in the front row for the splash zone.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Great messages to our upcoming audience. Thank you very much, Selena and Michael, for the really useful insights. Thanks, Yanni and Christos, for the intriguing questions. I would like to remind to our viewers that OpenConf 2023 happens on the 10th and 11th of November of 2023. You can check out about this year's content and grab your tickets at open-conf.gr. So thank you all for the great interview, and see you at OpenConf 2023.
Thank you, and see you in Athens.
Thank you.